The Denver Broncos will close out the preseason tonight versus the Minnesota Vikings. Hello everyone and welcome to Denver Broncos Syndicate, part of the Sports Syndicate family of channels where we're dedicated to bringing you content about our favorite sports teams. I am your host, Gage Madrid. Before we jump in, we just need to get the housekeeping stuff out of the way. According to YouTube, just over 2/3 of the people who watch these videos are not subscribed. So if you routinely watch these videos but are not subscribed to the channel, it would be fantastic if you could do so. We are just 13 subscribers away from 800, so let's see how fast we can get there. The Denver Broncos are looking to bounce back in their preseason finale against the Minnesota Vikings after getting trounced by the Buffalo Bills last week. Tonight's game will take place at Empower Field at Mile High, and kickoff is scheduled for 7 p.m. Mountain Time. For those in Denver, the game will be televised on Channel 20, and for those outside the local market, the game will be televised on NFL Network. The Denver Broncos have already reduced their active roster to 80 players, and by this coming Tuesday will have to trim down to their initial 53-man roster. I will be at tonight's game bringing you live coverage on Twitter at Gage Madrid NFL as we watch players battle for those final roster spots. Just like the previous two preseason games, most of the Broncos starters, including Russell Wilson, are not scheduled to play tonight. Earlier in the week, Coach Hackett announced that Brett Rypien would be the Broncos' starting quarterback for tonight's game. This comes after Rypien has had a very good training camp. After an up-and-down performance in the preseason opener against the Cowboys, Rypien played quite well in last week's preseason game against the Bills. It seems that the Broncos are giving Rypien a legit shot to take away the backup quarterback job from veteran Josh Johnson. Although Johnson has had some nice moments, Rypien has overall outplayed him in training camp and in the preseason. The Broncos are looking to bounce back in the trenches after what was an overall rough outing against the Bills. The run defense couldn't stop a cold, and conversely, we couldn't generate a run game of our own. The Broncos' offensive and defensive lines were dominated by the Bills. If the play for both lines doesn't improve, General Manager George Paton could look outside the building to address depth at those positions. At this point, I personally do not have much confidence if we were to lose a starter on the offensive or defensive line. Some other things to watch in tonight's game is how well the secondary bounces back after being picked on in the Buffalo game as well. I'm also going to keep a close eye at the receiver position. It currently seems to be a four-way competition between Brandon Johnson, Jalen Virgil, Kendall Hinton, and Seth Williams to fill out the depth at that position. Currently, Johnson and Virgil seem to have the leg up. Let's see if they can continue that trajectory or if someone else can stand out amongst that group. It was also announced that KJ Hamler would see his first game action tonight since tearing his ACL in week 3 of last year. Coach Hackett said that although his action will be limited, the team wants to get KJ out there in preparation for week 1. It's going to be awesome to see KJ back on the field, and entering this season, he figures to be a key piece for our offense. The hope is that he could sort of fill that Tyler Lockett role for Russ. The final preseason game is always somewhat tough because for some of these guys, tonight will be the last time that they will ever play professional football. The human element definitely makes you feel for those guys. We are just 16 days away from the Broncos' Week 1 kickoff against Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks, Coach Carroll naming Smith the starter last night over former Bronco Drew Lock. Once 53-man rosters are set, we will have to suffer through almost 2 weeks of no football. That little period between the preseason and the regular season is always the toughest part for me. I'm curious, Broncos country, which players are you going to be keeping your eye on tonight? Drop those comments down below. I would love to hear from you. Be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. And while you're at it, be sure to follow me on Twitter at Gage Madrid NFL for live in-game tweets as well as other Broncos coverage. And for now, this has been another episode of Denver Broncos Syndicate. I am your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out and let's ride.